You're doing $65 million a year in real estate. You have 5 team members. You have rental properties. You're doing flips.
I'm not just trading my time for money. My money is working while I'm sleeping.
There's about 109,000 houses that sold in New Jersey. 12% of that was sold to investors. About 35 houses a day. So how are you finding these deals? The cars, the vacations, the big FU main house.
Exactly.
And I always tell people, like, it's really important to take a lot of that revenue you're making and pour it back in.
I didn't spend any of the commission money. I knew all of it, 100% of it was going to buying multifamily buildings. And that's exactly what I did. And I started creating that passive income.
If you invest in a good team and support staff, I always say you should never look at that if they're good as an expense on your P&L. It's actually a profit center. So today we have a very special guest in Agent to Investor Mastery. I'm excited about today's guest. This is somebody I've known in the real estate field for a long time, and I've seen him involved from a part-time agent to a full-time top producer, as well as a real estate investor. So I was excited to have him come today and share about his story, because I think it's very inspirational, and I think it will relate to a lot of people that see this. So our guest today is Alex Monaco. Alex is the team leader of the Monaco team at Remax In Style in Montgomery, New Jersey. Alex, man, welcome. I appreciate you coming here.
Carl, I appreciate it a lot. Thanks for having me. It's going to be fun to chat with you for a while, for sure.
Yeah, man. So like I said, I've known you for a long time now. I know we've talked over the years. Tell everybody a little bit about your story. Like, what were you doing before real estate? What inspired you to get into real estate?
Yeah, for sure. So I was actually a special ed teacher. I went to school for teaching. I taught in North Brunswick for 11 years. And it was working. It was fine. But while I was there, I just knew I needed kind of something more. It just wasn't quite as fulfilling for me. I wanted to really just, do more outside of my teaching hours. So that's when I decided to get into real estate. So it was about 3 years into my teaching career. A teacher that I worked with, he told me he had his real estate license. He made a few bucks on the side. I was like, that just, seems exciting to me. So got licensed, just kind of not thinking much about where it was going to go. And, for the next 8 years, I was doing the two. So I was, moonlighting, as they say. And finally, it got so busy that it was time to, hang up the teaching and go full time, and have not looked back.
That's great. So talk about a little bit about your real estate business now. What does it look like, your team, how many people, how much business did you do this year?
Sure. So right now I have 6 on our team in total, including myself. So I've been full-time now for 3 years, and I've been working on growing that. And it's been amazing, just more production than I ever imagined. Between the 6 of us, which is a smaller team, we're doing about 150 transactions this year. Yeah, we're doing like 65 million, which is incredible. So, I'm just trying to lead and, help us all to grow. And now I got team members that have left their jobs because of how successful they've been. And to me, that's been like so fulfilling.
Bro, it's awesome. That's true leadership there.
Thank you.
And seeing others succeed is always what you want. I always say, like, a good team leader is not always about what they can get from the team members, right? A good team leader is about what they can give.
Exactly.
And how they could all grow.
Yeah.
So now you're doing 65 million. Talk a little bit about, I know you've gotten into real estate investing. What got you into investing? Was it something that you always wanted to do? What does that sort of look like?
Sure. So the way I saw it always from the beginning is like being a real estate agent's great, the money's great, but it is like you get your paycheck and you get it one time, you worked directly for it, and then it's gone. It's not creating a, passive income or a stream. It's just you work, you get it, you trade your time for money. And that's okay to build your money, but I knew that, one day I'm not going to want to work so much, and I'm going to want my money to work for itself. Started with the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like a lot of, real estate investors got into. So basically what I was doing is, as I was teaching, because I was able to live off my teacher's salary, and my wife was working as a nurse, so we were totally comfortable, just working off that money. So I saw all of the real estate commissions as sort of bonus money, like house money that I could use to invest. So while I was teaching, I bought 5 or 6 multifamilies. And I didn't spend any of the commission money. I knew all of it, 100% of it was going to buying multifamily buildings. And that's exactly what I did. And I started creating that passive income and having an appreciating asset. So now I'm not just trading my time for money. My money is working while I'm sleeping.
I love that because you see so many times. I've seen it. I've been a real estate broker now for like 15 years, and I've been in the business for 20. And I would see agents get really successful, start spending their money on as liabilities, as they would talk about in Rich Dad Poor
Cars,
Dad. The cars, the vacations, the big FU main house.
Exactly.
And I always tell people, like, it's really important to take a lot of that revenue you're making and pour it back in to your investment to build your assets and everything of that nature. So I love that, man, because I've seen so many people make that mistake, and you sound like you did it exactly the way you should. And I also read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that was a very life-changing book for me, which I talk about a lot on podcasts and interviews, how much that book has helped me get to the next level. So talk a little bit about your real estate portfolio, and are you doing any fix and flips? Walk us a little bit of that for people listening.
Sure, I'll take you to the beginning. So the first property was the one that I bought to live in. So my wife and I used that as an investment opportunity. So like in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a lot of times they say the home that you live in is basically a liability, especially if it's like a big expensive home. So we bought a small 2-family home in Manville, and we used an FHA 203K loan because the house was cheap, it needed a lot of work, everyone else passed on it. We saw the potential. So we used this renovation loan to buy it, fix it up, make it nice. We lived in 1 unit. We rented out the top just basically to family members and like a friend for a long time. And our monthly nut was very low because we had that rent coming in. It made it really easy to live there, almost for free, which was so nice. So it was an asset to us.
I love that.
So we had low overhead, and I'm making this commission money. And then finally, after about a year, I bought my first property. It was a 4-unit property, also in Manville, that I still own. And that's been an awesome property. It's grown in value so much since 2020. That was 5 years ago. That was my first one. Kept going with it after that. I bought a 3-unit in Boundbrook. I bought a 4-unit in Boundbrook. I bought a 3-unit in New Brunswick. And then we did something that was also a mix of like a splurge, but also a great investment. We bought a 2-unit property down the shore in Ortley Beach.
Nice.
And part of it was like, making my wife happy, because I'm like, all right, she sees all this money coming in. I'm just buying all these properties that I'm renting to make more money. And she's like, all right, she likes that we're making money, but she wanted a beach house. So I said, all right, I'll compromise with you. Instead of just getting a beach house that's just, for us, we're going to buy a 2-family. We rent out 1 unit year round. And then the other unit we rented out in the winter, and we rent it out for like half the summer by weeks, like Airbnb it.
Right.
So we have a beach house that we can stay in half the summer, and we basically break even on that, which is all I want. And it's like free beach house.
That's awesome, right?
Yeah, it's cool.
The memories you're going to have with your family down the shore is worth more than any rental income.
Exactly.
So I love that you bought a 2-family, not just bought a. I love that story.
Yeah.
So talk a little. You touched on this a little bit for people who don't know. You said in your first house, because a lot of people get stuck when it comes to investing in real estate on the financing part.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about a 203K.
Yeah.
For anyone listening who doesn't know what a 203K mortgage is, and it's funny, I one of the houses I bought, I used a 203K.
Nice.
Talk a little bit about what that loan program does and how you were able to leverage it to get your first multifamily.
Sure. So a 203K is a renovation mortgage. It's an FHA product. And basically you get the loan like your mortgage like you would for, any house, but they also give you a loan for the repairs. So just to use round numbers and example, let's say you buy the house for $300,000 and you want to dedicate $50,000 towards repairs. You're buying the house for $300,000, but your mortgage is going to be based on $350,000. So it was good because as first-time home buyers, we were just starting out. We didn't have a lot of money to make the repairs. We were never going to have the cash at that point to fix up a house completely. So we got this $50,000 loan wrapped into our mortgage, and we were able to completely gut the house and make it all new. And yeah, our mortgage was a little bit higher, but still it was well within our budget. So it was a great product, and we bought it for say 300, put 350 into it, and 50 into it, so we're all in for 350, and then the house was worth like 400. So we made 50K in equity by doing it. It's for owner occupants only, just so you know. You can't do it if you're just using it to invest. You got to live there. But yeah, it's a great product. There's other renovation loan products out there. There's like the conventional, the home style one, they call it. But if you're trying to get into real estate investing, the best way to do it is to start by buying your own home, and then you can use one of those favorable products for owner occupants.
Right, it's so true, because you could keep it an FHA mortgage even if you're not living there, if you had lived there for the required amount of time.
Exactly.
And what I love about the 203K program is the biggest pushback I ever get is, well, the rate's a little bit higher. And I talk a lot about the velocity of money, but I say if you look at what you're spending to get that renovation money and how much more it's costing you per month, it is cheaper than any credit card. It is cheaper than anything else out there to do it.
Exactly.
So to me, it's such a great program that not enough agents really know about.
True.
And also don't educate their buyers enough, because I know I made a lot of money personally using a 203K on a property.
Yeah, as agents, we can bring a lot of value because, like you said, a lot of them don't talk about it. So when I have, clients who fall in love with a house and the land, but it needs more work than they're willing to, they don't have the cash yet to do the work, I say, hey, you could get a renovation loan and wrap it into your mortgage. So you're financing it. And, it's a 30-year loan, so it's a long ways to finance it. So, yeah, and it's owner-occupant type of interest rate. So, typically it's very affordable for people.
And it's a great way as an agent to differentiate yourself from other agents if you're able to have those high-level conversations.
Exactly.
And help people get what they want financially and with real estate. So one of the biggest things I get, and, I know you haven't touched on it, you've also done some fix and flips. The biggest pushback I get all the time is there's no deals out there, right?
Yep.
I hear that daily.
Yeah.
And I was talking the other day as I looked at the numbers statistically, because people say there's no deals out there. I say, well, is that fact or fiction? So I was looking at the numbers. It was about 109,000 houses that sold in New Jersey. 12% of that sold to investors. So it's about 35 houses a day that sold to an investor. So they're out there.
Oh, yeah.
It just sucks when we're not the ones buying them.
Exactly.
So how are you finding these deals? What have you done?
Sure. So I've been getting more and more into the fix and flips over the last 4 or 5 years or so. So far, I've done about 7 of them, and it's just been a nice extra thing to add to what I do. And as a real estate agent, it's a great thing to have because, I go on listing appointments, and sometimes the house is not in as good condition. And I give my clients options, which I love doing. I say, hey, I can put this on the market for this amount, and you're going to have to pay a commission. Or, if you don't want to deal with it, if you want to make it fast, easy, simple, I can buy it from you. It'll be a little lower price, but it's going to be so easy. You're not going to have to do anything, and you don't have to pay me a commission. And a lot of times they'll choose that option. A lot of times for the sellers, they don't want to list it. They don't want it on the market, especially if it's in bad shape. They might be embarrassed by it. They don't want pictures of their house that's cluttered and a mess on the internet for their neighbors and their friends to see. So when I say, hey, we can just skip that, I will just buy it, it'll be nice and easy, they love that. So yeah, a lot of realtors complain that there's, it's impossible to find a deal, but definitely not true. And as a realtor, we have such a leg up. Yeah. You just got to have your eyes open for it because, we're coming across a lot of houses before other people are because we're real estate agents. So many ways to get these flips.
No, it's so true. And I tell a story, right? People want options.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm a real estate broker and an agent. And when I moved, I sold my house at a little bit of a discount to family friends because I was doing construction on another house. I needed some time to stay. And I also didn't want to put my house on the market and have all the agents in my local market that we do a lot of business in coming through my house.
Yeah.
So for me, I made an educated decision because it was the best for me and my family to take a little bit less on the sale of the house.
Yeah.
So you really don't know what somebody's situation is, and for everybody, the top dollar is not the biggest motivation.
Not always the big thing. Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing? So the first thing I always get is, there's no deals. Second thing is the financing of the deals.
Yep.
What are you doing to finance some of your fix and flips and buy and hold properties?
Sure. So I have some great local lenders that I work with. Right now I'm using hard money for the flips. I have some really good hard money lenders that give me good deals because of the relationships.
Sure.
It's always about relationships, as we
100%.
know, everything in real estate. And now that I've done 4, 5, 6, 7, they have confidence in me. They know I'm going to use them. They know I'm going to get the job done, and they give me some pretty decent rates. So that's one thing. And then the other big thing I've been working on now is finding private financing. So I started with just like my dad, just family members. That's always the easiest way to kind of test things out. And, it worked really well, and I give them a good return. So, when I use the hard money, I still have the down payment to make. So I'm trying to do more at a time. So I want to do 3, 4 flips, and I can't do that always with my own money.
Right.
So I've been really, focusing on making this a business, systematizing it, going to past clients, going to my sphere, saying, hey, if you put in, 50K or so with me, you don't have to do a thing. It's totally passive, and I'll give you like a 10% return, something like that. And they've been very happy with it. So that's what I'm doing right now for financing. As far as finding the flips, a lot of ways. So one, like I said, is just naturally being a realtor. I go on listing appointments and I know, okay, this might be a flip opportunity as opposed to, listing it on the market for retail. I go on every website I can find that, there's a lot of websites. Homelake.com is one of them where you go on and they, you pay a referral fee. They give you a lead. Someone says they want to sell their home cash. And I can approach it 2 ways. I can, say I'm a realtor, but I can put my investor hat on and say I'll buy it. Facebook has been really good for me. I'm always active I'm in every possible Facebook group I could find. And whenever someone says they have a deal, a lot of times it's a wholesaler. A lot of times their deals aren't really deals, but you sift through it and it takes time. You recognize that only like 5% of them are going to be even remotely possible. But I get on every email list I possibly can. I created a filter in my email, so every real estate investor that sends me a possible deal, it's going to that folder, so it's not like flooding my inbox. And then I'm just always networking with a lot of realtors. I use my CRM efficiently to give a hashtag to everyone who's an investor. So when I have something, I can just pitch them the numbers, auto text or email. And it's starting to really work, which is like really exciting.
I love that.
Yeah, it's cool.
I love that because it's the deals aren't as hard as people think they are to find.
No.
But you have to go looking.
Yeah.
And someone's not going to just drop. I mean, once in a while you'll get a deal opportunity dropped in your lap.
Yeah.
Just from your network. But as realtors, we have such advantages. And offering the consumer options there's nothing more we're hearing right now in real estate than being able to provide consumers options.
Exactly.
It's probably the biggest thing that people are talking about in the real estate brokerage industry. So being able to give those options is such a home run. Unpack for a little bit for people who are listening about hard money. We use hard money as well, and a lot of people kind of think of it as taboo. Right. But I think once you learn how to leverage hard money, it could really help you grow and scale like you're talking about. So what exactly is hard money?
Sure. So it's basically like a fix and flip lender. It's a short-term loan, though. It's just for investors. It's fast money. It's quick. It's very liquid. It's almost cash, I would say. It's pretty much like cash. And it's going to come at a high interest rate. So it's definitely good to have a relationship with the same people so they give you the best deal possible, but it's extremely convenient. There's plenty of hard money lenders out there, easy to find them. You can just go to Google and start finding contacts, and you can call and compare, of course, as you always should, with a few different people. But they're going to give you the money for the loan. They're going to base it usually based on the deal. So they'll look at what you're buying it for. They'll look at how much repairs it needs. You need to send them like a scope of work, of showing how much the contractor is going to need. And then they'll give you the repairs based on that and the ARV, which is the after repair value. So how much you're going to profit from it. And they will also look at your personal assets. Each lender is different with that. Some are more concerned with you, your credit, your income, your debt, Some are more concerned with the deal. Do the numbers work in this deal? But generally, it's like a mix of both. And you get the money quick, and they give you the money for the repairs. Usually you'll get like 90 to 95%, something like that of the deal, and then you have to put the rest down on your own. Yeah, I mean, it's great. It works for me. You know, it works for me right now. If you have your own friend who can finance the whole deal,
even better.
Private, that's much better. I don't have that person yet.
Yeah.
I know people who do, but they don't share.
Yeah. Well, I even said when I started off investing in real estate, I didn't have money.
Right.
But I had contacts.
Right.
And I partnered with somebody who was able to fund the deal, and we were able to split the deal 50-50. And for me, it worked because I would rather have 50% of something than 100% of nothing.
Right.
And it also gave me the confidence to learn how to start flipping, because I get it. It's intimidating in the beginning, even for agents. When it's your house, your deal, and more important, your money on the line, people get nervous. And it's been cool because I was partnering a lot. We did a lot. And now I've been helping people with financing and kind of giving that opportunities to others. So that's an awesome thing to see, just to get your money working. But hard money's, we use hard money all the time, even on rental properties.
Yeah.
How are you financing your rental properties?
Yeah, so far what I've done is just sort of working with a traditional local lender and just, you know, putting down 20-25%. So pretty much straightforward investor loan. But my plan going forward is definitely to do more of the hard money loans for my rental properties. I want to, you know, I want to buy more properties that need work, because that's the best way to get the most equity. You know, you buy something at a discounted rate because it needs so much work, and use that hard money to fix it up, and then you refinance out of it later into a more traditional loan. That's what I'm going to start doing more.
No, that's great. And another thing too is on the rental loans, there's the debt service loans, the DSCR loans.
DSCR, yeah.
And what's been great about the DSCR loans in the past, the rate used to be so much higher than a traditional mortgage, but that gap is closed to be so much smaller.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's those loans are a lot easier. It's based on the property. It's a commercial loan. So
you don't even need to have income of your own to get those.
No,
right? Yeah.
no. So, I mean, that's the bottom line is, you know, people listen to this, is I just want them to, the more you know and the more you're educated and you learn the velocity of money and you learn how to, if you can find deals, there's ways to get the money if it's a true deal.
Yeah.
The problem is if it's not a true deal, then it's harder to get the financing because it's really not a true deal.
Right.
And I always say is don't fall in love with the deal to try to make it a deal.
Yeah.
You know, if it's not, you got to be able to walk away from it.
Exactly.
And there's some people who are going to think something's a deal that you might not thought is a deal.
Right.
So how do you balance all of this? So, you know, you have 2 little kids, you're doing $65 million a year in real estate, you have 5 team members, you have rental properties, you're doing flips. How are you managing your time?
Great question. I would say I probably work less than most agents that even if they do, you know, a quarter of what I do, because I'm highly leveraged. So I have 6 virtual assistants now that do all types of things for me. You know, back end work, paperwork, social media, a lot of, you know, client stuff in the back end. So that helps a lot. I have an in-person, or a runner, we call him. So he runs around, does so much for me. You know, errands, helps with, you know, going to townships and applying for things, you know, for sale signs. I don't do any, I've outsourced all of that.
Smart.
I have a showing assistant. So it's one of my team members. She helps me with showings. You know, I try to be there as much as I can personally. But, you know, sometimes I'm busy, and we all know houses move quick in this market, and I don't want any of my clients to miss out on anything. So, you know, she helps me with that. And, you know, she can like let an appraiser in, you know, inspectors need to go drop the radon can. Like, I don't need to do that. You know, I can have someone help open the door for me. So being leveraged helps me to, you know, I mainly work, I like to think, mostly business hours. You know, sometimes I have to do something at night or on the weekends.
Right.
And I do, but it's not like crazy because, you know, I'm home with my kids a lot. That's the most important thing right now.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
See, it's possible.
It's possible.
A lot of agents don't think it is.
Exactly.
But, if you invest in a good team and support staff, I always say it's not, you should never look at that if they're good as an expense on your P&L. It's actually a profit center.
Oh yeah.
Because a lot of it too is they're just freeing up your time.
Yeah, they free up time, and I focus on the income producing activities. So I'm calling clients and I'm working on my systems and improving and just being a great agent to my clients, and everything else gets handled.
I love that.
Yeah.
So what's next for Alex and the Monaco team and your investing business? What the next 3 years? What are some of the goals that you want to try to conquer?
Yeah, so definitely want to grow the team. I've got a couple new agents that are going to be joining within the next month, which is great. I am definitely looking to add to my portfolio. So I have 16 units now. I haven't bought anything in it's been almost 2 years, so I'm chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
I did some other things with money, fixed up my house, things like that. But I'm definitely ready to start buying stuff soon. So this year, 2026, I'll be doing that. I want to buy some bigger units. I want to buy some, 8, 12, 16 unit buildings and fix them up and rent those out. So growing the team, growing the portfolio, being able to do more flips by getting more private financing, and, basically more of the same of what I'm doing, but just on a bigger scale.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, there's some agents and team leaders. How are you finding new team members?
Yeah, great question. That's something in the last year I finally started to create systems for. A lot of it's with social media. So we have a team social media account that one of my assistants runs, and we're starting to gear posts towards recruiting, towards, hey, join our team. This is what we're doing. This is how successful we are. I'm in networking groups too. That's a big part of how I get business, and I'm preaching to everyone, hey, don't just look for customers for me. If you know an agent or someone who wants to be an agent, think of me. Really, everything that I do to get business, I'm now sprinkling in, ways to get people to join the team.
That's awesome, man. I love that. So if you're an agent listening to this and you wanted to get more into investing, what advice would you give them?
Definitely do it. We have so much at our exposure by being real estate agents. And the biggest thing is relationships. And that's what helped me so much with going from realtor to investor, is because I have so many people. I have contractors, I have inspectors, I have handymen, I have title, I have lenders, I have cleaners. All these things have made it so easy. That's what makes the whole process of flipping and buying rentals so easy for me, because anything I need, I know who to ask. They're all in my phone, and I'm able to help and solve problems the same way I do for my clients. So easy, because I trust who I go to. So if you're a realtor, it's like someone said once, being a realtor who is not buying properties is like being a chef who won't eat their own food. How are you going to tell your clients to buy? You won't even do it.
I say it all the time. We have such advantages, and in the next few years, the tax code is written for real estate professionals to be able to buy real estate and save a lot of money on taxes, because that's usually agents' number one biggest problems. They start doing a lot of business, that tax bill comes.
Yeah.
Buying rental properties is a way in doing cost segregations to wipe out that tax liability.
Exactly.
And I stress to producing agents all the time, this has got to be part of your business strategy, because if you're making a lot of money but you're giving 40% of it away every year, what are you really bringing home at the end of the day?
Exactly.
So that's huge.
Yeah.
So one last question. If you were to go back 10 years ago and you were going to give yourself any piece of advice, what would it be?
Great question. I would actually, I probably would have left my job earlier. I would have came to Remax earlier. These moves were scary because I was thinking about it wrong. I was thinking of it like I have a teacher's salary, and if I give that up, I'm losing that money. So I was doing the math of all that money's gone. I wasn't really thinking enough of the time I'd be freeing up, how much faster I'd be able to grow my business by being full-time. Same thing with the previous company I was at, which was fine, but I was thinking of because they were going to take all my deals that I had, and that's such short-term, small thinking. Is this is a $20,000 in commission. It doesn't matter for the amount more of your money you can make by being at the right brokerage, you can make so much more money. It's irrelevant. $20, $30, $40,000 is nothing. I see companies offering bonuses, like sign-on bonus, like 15K. And it's like, I'm sorry, but if you're leaving your brokerage for that, that's sad. Because that shows that you're thinking on such a small level. You know, you could make so much money doing this. The other thing is I would have found the best team leader. I would have joined a team. When I started, they weren't quite as good.
Right.
It's amazing that I succeeded like I did, but it was very slow. It took me, 6, 7 years to really start taking off. I was just floundering. I had no direction. I was just very slowly stumbling into a good piece of advice, or find someone like you on social media and hear something and be like, oh, okay. But I wasn't being pushed. You need like a coach, a team leader to push you. If you're at it on your own and you don't really know what you're doing, it's, even if you're giving up some of your commission to be on a team, it's crazy how much money you can make if you have someone who's done it, who's pushing you.
Right, they help your learning curve.
Oh yeah.
And I always say you don't want to miss out. You don't want to miss out on dollars because you're trying to grab pennies.
Exactly.
And at the time when I left, when I was at a brokerage before I opened mine, same thing. I had to leave money on the table. And when I look back, it was such a minuscule amount of money in the long term. But in the short term, it seemed like a lot.
Yeah, and I get it. And I'm always trying to explain that to people. And it's hard for them to get it, It's just like a scarcity mindset. You have to have the mindset of abundance. It's like, yeah, you may be thinking you're giving up 20K or something like that, but the amount of money you can make in real estate is much bigger than that. So
yeah,
you got to think abundance.
I love it. I appreciate you sharing your story. I've seen it along the way. I remember, I think it was pre-COVID. We sat at Starbucks and just had a meeting and talked about building when you were looking to make that move. And I was so happy to see how you skyrocketed since making that. And it's been awesome. So I appreciate you taking your time to come on today.
Yeah.
Also, how do people get in touch with you? If there's someone listening, they want to get some advice or looking for a team leader such as yourself, what's the best way for someone to reach you?
Sure. I'm all over social media. I'm easy to find. A lot of agents are secret agents. That's not me. You can look me up, Alex Monaco Real Estate. You'll find all my social media handles there. That's probably the best way. Shoot me a DM. I'll always answer. And just want to say thanks to you. I've been following you for a long time, probably a decade. I would say I learned more from you about real estate, what I do, than anyone. Just following your social media and going to your events and stuff. So you've been huge on my growth. So thank you.
Man, I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. And
sure.
Excited to watch you grow over the next 3 years. And as always, anything I can help with, reach out. But I appreciate you, brother.
You got it, man.
All right.
Appreciate it. Thanks.